Hello everyone, I am DV and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in for another all-new car review right here on Me and Mine TV. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this review is going to be a little bit different than reviews you're normally used to seeing, because I'm not here to tell you or show you or express to you whether or not the 6th generation Camaro is a better car than its competitors, because what this car has been doing for the past 9 months is basically decimating almost every single car that's been put in front of it. So I think it's safe to say that that question has already been answered. But the most important question we're going to answer here today on Me and Mine TV is the most difficult question General Motors had to pose to themselves when they were redesigning the Chevrolet Camaro. And that is, have they truly built a car that can make people such as myself, some of you watching me right now, who are completely happy and content with their current car, and after having one experience with the all-new 6th generation Camaro, reach in our pockets, hand over our keys, dip into our bank account for a couple of $1,000s, and sign our name on the dotted line for an all-new 6th generation Camaro? But the only way we're going to answer that question is if we do what we do here on Me and Mine TV, and that's strap in, strap up, and go for another ride.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, being a Camaro owner myself, of the 5th gen variety, one of the most notable knocks on my generation of Camaro was the fact that the interior really wasn't that good. A lot of people would say that the interior quality was lacking, that the craftsmanship was lacking, that the quality materials were lacking, and it was lacking in an overall sense of technology. So when you hop into a 6th gen from a 5th gen Camaro, you immediately notice the improvements that General Motors made from one generation to the next. I love these seats, and they are a definite improvement over its predecessor, because I love how they feel sturdy. I love how they make you feel secure. And I love the addition and the improvement in lumbar support from these seats as compared to mine. I love the improvements that General Motors made in technology as it pertains to the MyLink screen and the gauge cluster. Now, I do have to admit, probably since I'm so used to how my version of MyLink works, it took me a good 10-15 minutes to get everything down packed in this version of MyLink, but once I did, it was a breeze. I love how General Motors laid out the gauge cluster as compared to its predecessor, because one thing I never really understood is why would someone want that 4-gauge cluster of gauges right in front of their gear shift? So if they wanted to check their oil temp or coolant temp or whatever, they had to do this while they were driving, and everybody knows that's not safe. So General Motors did the right thing and put those 4-gauge clusters right back on the dashboard where they belong. Now, after all the improvements I've noticed in this generation of Camaro, there are a couple of things that I don't like. Number one, being a person who's 6'2" and who likes to track their car, I would like to have just a little bit more headroom in this car, because if I were to get in this car with my helmet on for a track day, my helmet would be rubbing on top of the ceiling, and of course, that's not a good look. And the only other thing I've noticed in this interior that I don't like is the little air and heat vent layout here that's directly in front of the gear shift. Now, I'm not saying that the location is a problem, but how they have it laid out, in my opinion, is, because you have to move these dials in all kind of which ways just to get it set to its preferable position. Not to mention that these little turnstile air temp gauges on the vents, I think is cheap and disrespectful, because when I'm driving this car and I'm trying to get my temperature right, I feel like I'm Charlie Theron on the Italian Job trying to hack into a safe to get the right setting to make sure I'm either warm or I'm cool. But other than that, after being in this car for 15 minutes and seeing all the improvements that General Motors done to this car, I do have to say the interior in this car is definitely leaps and bounds better than the 5th generation Camaro. So here we are, without a doubt, probably at the most important portion of this review, the performance portion, because of course, we got a performance car here. Now, a lot of people have been probably wondering just how good the 6th generation Camaro is when it's on the track or the drag strip, or when you're doing some fun-spirited driving. Now, I'm about to take this car to a road that I like to take my car to, because it has the straights, the twisties, the blind corners, and a couple of hill jumps. Even though it only lasts about 25, maybe 30 seconds, it's still a nice, fun road to take this badass car on to see just how good this car is. So here we are at the road I was just telling you guys about. And I know this is the part that each and every one of you have wanted to see. Because after all, this is a performance car. This is a sports car. And we need to see this car doing some sports car things to really get a feel for what this car has to offer. Now, what I'm doing now is switching the car from Tour and putting it into track mode. Now we're in track mode now. Now, if you're a skilled driver like I am, what you want to do is tap that traction control button, and now the traction control is turned off. But without further ado, let's see how the brand new 6th generation 1SS Chevrolet Camaro gets its jollies off when we throw up some corners, when we test out those Brembo brakes. But rather than hear me talk, let's go, baby. Screw me under pressure. Already at 70 miles an hour. Woo-hoo-hoo, come on, baby. 80 miles an hour. Hit the brakes. Dip it to the curve. Come on. Ooh, I love the way that V8 sounds. 87, 93, 96, 101, 103. Woo-hoo-hoo. Oh, baby. This car is good. This car is good. Daddy's like, come on. 86. Here we go with the hill jump. Come on, big girl. Damn, this car feels so planted. Get on the brakes. Over the hill. Dip it in. Come on. 86, 94, 97, 98. God, man, this thing grips with ease. Woo-hoo-hoo! 102, 104. Oh, my gosh. This thing is good. Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. Okay. Now, oh my gosh, the heart is racing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, being a V6 5th generation Camaro owner, one thing a lot of people love to clown me on is, oh, you should have got a V8. You know you want to get a V8. And I just have one thing to say. After experiencing that little road for 22, maybe 25 seconds, I just got one thing to say. So that's what a V8 feels like, huh? That's what a V8 feels like. I can see why everybody likes to get on me and tell me how I need to get a V8. Cause oh man, this car, never mind the engine. This car is just so freaking effortlessly easy to drive. I mean, you touch the wheel, it dips into the corner. I mean, it hugs it into the corner. You get on the gas. The back end stays planted. You hear that rumble from the stock exhaust. And after just experiencing this car on that little teeny tiny bit of road, I just have to say, as compared to the previous generation SS and this SS, oh my gosh, this car is good, people. Now, one of the most important things each and every one of us need when we go car shopping is a car that we are attracted to, a car that we know is drop dead gorgeous. Now, when I first started to see the new 6th Gen, I do have to admit, I really was not that impressed, simply because I saw so much of my 5th Gen Camaro in this car. It doesn't matter if it's from the front or the side or from the badunkadunk in the back. When I look at this car, all I can see is my 5th Gen Camaro, and started thinking here, albeit with a lot of jealousy, if they were going to make a new Camaro, why did they make it look so much like its predecessor? But after 9 months of seeing this car on the road, with different options and different models, with different colors, I gotta say, this mother-freaking car is bad ass, because every time I see one, I just gotta touch myself, because this thing is so freaking sexy. Because I always like to say, when I see a 5th Gen Camaro, I see Jennifer Lopez. But when I see a 6th generation Camaro, I don't just see Jennifer Lopez. I see Jennifer Lopez at the 2000 Grammys. You know what I'm talking about. Because when you're on the road, this car gets more looks than its predecessor ever did. Because it's a lot more edgy, it's a lot more bold, it's a lot more in your face as compared to the 5th Gen ever was. Now, one of the things I was very reluctant to talk about was whether or not the 6th generation Camaro was a better looking car than the 5th Gen. Because I do have to admit on two fronts. Number one, it may be a little difficult to say that the 6th gen is a better looking car than the 5th gen when it takes so much styling cues from the 5th gen. But if someone were to put a gun to my head and say, DV, I need you to tell me the truth or you die. Does the 6th gen look better than the 5th gen? Yes, it does. I do have to finally say now, after seeing one up close, being in this car for a little over 4 hours now, I do have to admit, this car is a better looking car than the 5th gen Camaro. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's been roughly a little over 4.5 hours now. I finally had the opportunity to do more than a test drive and be up close and intimate with the all new 6th generation Camaro. And unfortunately, I have to give it back to its rightful owner. Now, we set out in this review to see whether or not General Motors has built a car that can make people like me, and some of you watching me right now, hand over our keys, fork over a couple of grand, and leave a dealership with an all-new 6th gen. Now, being a 5th generation Camaro owner myself, I do have to admit that in this review, I started out a little skeptical, but being optimistic at the same time. Because being in love with my car for 2+ years now, this car had lofty expectations to pass in order to be classified as a better car than the 5th generation Camaro. But after spending 4 hours with this car and getting a good sense and a feel of exactly what this car is and what it has to offer, without a doubt, unequivocally, this car is bad ass. And without a doubt, this car is an overall better car than the 5th generation Camaro. Except for one category. And that one category, for me as a car consumer, is the most important category. And that is the fun category. Now, if you buy a performance car, a sports car, or whatever type of car, one of the things you need is a car that you can have fun with. Now, after driving this car on that little twisty road, getting up to 104 miles an hour, and feeling how that V8 feels as compared to my V6, I absolutely fell in love with this car. But when I stopped, put it in the park, sat back in the seat, took a couple of breaths, I did not come away with that same satisfaction and that same set of enjoyments that I would get from a 5th gen Camaro. Because the thing is, what I get my jollies off when I'm behind the wheel of a car, the thing that I need is control, influence, and dictation. And what seemingly this car takes away is all three. Because the one thing I love about my 5th gen is the fact that when you're behind that wheel of that car, you cannot relax. You can't be breathing easily. You have to be on top of your game because that car makes you have responsibility, makes you have control, and offers you more dictation than this car currently does. And unfortunately, I have to say, I think when General Motors built this car, they had more of a Mustang in mind than the Chevrolet Camaro, because the biggest knock on the Mustang is the fact that you don't have control, you don't have dictation, and that car is so effortlessly and easy to drive. Now, I know some people won't agree with that. I know some people won't respect that, but the good thing about car reviews and car debates is everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And for the past, 13, 15 minutes, you guys have heard my opinion and the things that I like and dislike as the 6th generation Camaro is concerned. But my question, as always, to each and every one of you is, what do you think? What did you like? What did you not like? What would you like to change? And would you ever consider buying a new 6th generation Camaro? As always, let me know in the comment section your thoughts, your opinions, and your likes and dislikes. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out all the videos that I've done so far. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Stay tuned for the next upload.